Coach, just take us through, obviously, going from the box to the field and kind of how you enjoyed calling in the game from now on.
Yeah, really there were two major things that kind of went into that. One, it's what I felt was the best thing for our players. Early in the week, one of our assistant coaches, I think it was Coach Maddox, said that whatever decisions we do differently or make during the week, let's make sure that they're the best thing for the players. And we just talking with Blake felt like that was the best thing for them to go down. And two, it made it easier for Blake and I to communicate. Obviously, he and I were going to have a lot more conversations within the game, whether it be situations, different sequences. So that was the biggest thing. But for me, the biggest thing was just making sure our players knew, like, man, I'm with them, and I wanted them to know whether we were down by 50, up by 50, that I was with them. I was there to support them, no matter the outcome of the game.
Kind of going off Steven's question, obviously, when you're an offense coordinator, you talk to the quarterbacks usually between every drive. How big was it to not only be able to sit down and have that intimate conversation, but if something else came in your head, just to be able to walk over there and talk to Caton here and there, as opposed to having to call him or have him put a headset on?
Yeah, it's different. You like it to say that it's the same. Sitting there having a conversation with them over the phone while you're watching on the iPad, but it's different. It just is. Being able to look somebody in the face, look them in the eyes. And have a good gauge of where he's at, how he feels, what he sees. The thing that I probably enjoyed the most was not only getting to do that with him, but if I saw something at another spot, now I can walk 10 feet away and go talk to the receivers or tight ends, whoever it may be. So it was, it wasn't a huge transition. Every practice we have, everything like that, I call it down on the field. In those situations. So from that aspect, I didn't feel like it was that different. To me, it was in between series, having the ability to go talk to the different position groups, not only just the quarterbacks.
Kind of going off of that, Caton had a pretty big game, throwing 5 different receivers. How would you evaluate him and just how much he's grown since the start?
Yeah, he, I thought he took another step. You kind of saw it there in the second half of the Army game. You felt like he was starting to get into a rhythm, and that was kind of my hope was, he would kind of carry over from the second half of the Army into Temple and continue that, and he did. And he's making really good decisions with the ball. He kind of had 2 funky turnovers, but they weren't really from bad decisions. And those happen in games, and you got to overcome them. But from just a standpoint of being in control of the offense, knowing what we're trying to get accomplished, I'm really pleased with, at this point playing 2.5 games really. I think he's doing a great job. He's doing a great job of leading the guys. So it's been really good to see.
Coach, obviously a big offensive output, and then you get all that extra time to prepare for this game. Is there anything you are looking to improve upon specifically when it comes to Thursday night?
No, it's really just the same thing. What are the things that we're doing well? Let's keep doing those, and the things that we aren't doing well, how can we get better at them, or maybe we don't need to be doing those things. But at the end of the day, it still comes down to the same things. It's making sure we're getting the ball in the right people's hands, making sure that those guys are getting the touches that they need, and make sure we're calling things that the quarterback likes. Because at the end of the day, it does not matter if I think it's a good play. Does the quarterback like it? Can he execute it? Do our players like it? Can they execute it? And so that's where I felt like, the last, 3 games really, we've gotten into a rhythm of finding a better groove of getting our players in better situations to have success.
What are some of the things about FAU that stand out on tape?
Yeah, I said this about Temple, and I still believe it. But FAU, their record does not indicate, the level of talent they have on the defensive side of the ball. They have serious length. They have serious athleticism that jumps out to you on tape. Their record, their numbers, wherever they're at in the conference, does not dictate the kind of a team that's about to roll in here. And we've talked to our guys about that, making sure they understand that where these guys are at in their season, they're going to come in here with their backs against the wall. They've got to go feel like they got to run the table to make a bowl game, and so we know that we're going to get their best shot, and they have the ability to go beat anybody in this league. If you just you look at their scores, they've got North Texas beat. Obviously we're going toe to toe with what I think is still a good South Florida team. They've been in every game they've played in, just had the ball not go their way a few times. So it's not a lack of talent, I promise you that. They're very, very, they've got great speed and length on the back end. I really like their secondary. I think their backers do a good job playing side to side and in space. And like I said, they got real length and they can give you real problems up front. So it's a huge challenge, and we got to be able to go play. I'm glad we've gotten a little extra time to look at it, but at the end of the day, it's going to be coming down to us executing and doing our job.
After the Temple win, you guys were walking towards the boneyard to celebrate with the fans. You put your arm around Blake Harrell. What was that conversation like with him?
I just, it was such it was a long week. It felt like it was a month. That week leading up to the Temple game felt like it was just a month long, just everything that had gone on, and just, I just felt like Blake had done such a good job of, pulling the team together. And I told him how happy I was for him, how proud I was of him, because there's not a lot of people that can step into that situation and do the job that he did. And so I was happy for him because like I said, going into the game, he had earned that right to have the opportunity, and it wasn't the circumstances he wanted, but he did exactly and handled it exactly how I thought he would. Just in the 10 months that I've been around him, I think he's one of the best coaches in the country, and he's continued to do a great job with our team. And I'm excited, for the next month to see what we'll do.
With regard to the practices, I know you guys have been going on like 12 periods. How do you think as you get into November, it helps keep your guys fresh as you're in this last quarter of the season?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a fine balance of making sure you're getting enough work, getting the work that you need to be prepared to go play a football game. But at this point in the year, it's all about who's freshest and who's got the who's the healthiest. It really is what it comes down to. And so, right now, knock on wood, we're in a good spot from a health standpoint. But the fresher we can keep our guys, the better chance it's going to give us to have success. Just our guys, it gives them a little extra pep in their step, knowing that they got a shorter practice, but they understand within that practice, we got to go get quality reps, and they've been mature in that, and they've handled that really well. And I hope it continues the success that we had on the field the other day.
Coach, we talked to Tyler Savage earlier today. I know as a former tight ends coach, I'm sure he's meant a lot to you as a senior. What have you seen out of him? And obviously with Casey getting banged up, kind of how he stepped up this season.
Yeah, it's the coolest thing to me about Tyler is when we got here in January, Tyler was not somebody that really anybody talked about within the building, outside the building either. It was at the time, it was Shane, it was obviously Casey coming in, it was Javonte coming in, it was DeCirio, and Tyler was just kind of this forgotten guy in the room. And as we went through the spring, he was just somebody that just kept showing up, whether it was scrimmage or a practice, he kept making plays, and it continued on in fall camp, and it's continued on in this season. And it's just really cool when you see a guy like that had a position change a couple of years ago, and he's just kind of come into his own in the position. And when you lose your starter, like you lose Casey, and you have a guy like Tyler step in, you don't feel like you've skipped a beat or missed anything. And that's no knock on Casey. Casey's still a great player, but that just, the level of trust that we have in Tyler, that, he's not a loud guy. You don't ever hear him. He just works his tail off every single day, and that's all you can ask for. And so I couldn't be happier for Tyler, for the opportunity he's gotten and the opportunity that it's gotten for DeCirio. To get some more touches and some more playing time as well. So, but like I said, I couldn't be happier for Tyler. He's such a great kid. He really embodies what we're trying to do, not only as an offense, but as a team from a culture standpoint.
Any other questions? Thank you, Coach.
All right, appreciate it.